Hello, if you know anybody who are considered gifted or twice exceptional, it's easy to assume that they have things a lot easier, makes things easier, such as learning. However, if you're considered gifted, you might realize that actually life is really not that easy. If you have autism and ADHD and you're considered gifted, you might agree with this too. I want to briefly talk about why that's the case. Well, if you're considered gifted, you have a higher expectation to succeed, and so people put more pressure on you. If you have higher expectations due to your abilities, you have to work much harder in order to achieve bigger things due to this expectation people put on you and for yourself. Dr. K channel Healthy Gamer GG has an excellent example of this, a really good analogy, and I recommend watching his channel, by the way. He says the higher expectations you put in having higher abilities, having gifted abilities, is like setting a project where you want to build a mansion as opposed to setting a project where you just want to build a small house like people who aren't gifted. And let's say these are both places that everybody wants to live in, and they're both reasonably nice. A mansion may sound more amazing, however, it will take much longer to build this mansion. Let's say you have a certain amount of wood. It'll be quicker to build the small house than it would take to build the mansion. It would take a lot more time, work, and energy. And even though a mansion would be a great place to live, it's still a house. And some people may just rather live in a house and be perfectly fine with that. But when you have to spend your life achieving larger goals, you don't always see the results immediately. So this can sometimes feel exhausting and discouraging for gifted people. Children are often pushed to achieve bigger goals when they're children. And sometimes they don't always see the results immediately, as opposed to smaller goals that other people try to achieve where the results are already being shown. Then there's shame, which is a huge factor that can make things hard. If you don't achieve these goals, you'll feel more ashamed of yourself and feel like a failure. It's like you signed up to live a harder life where you gotta trek a tougher road, you achieve tougher things, but if you don't achieve them, you'll feel ashamed. And sometimes this can cause gifted people to give up and not feel motivated or feel depressed even on worst case scenarios. So I think it's important for gifted people to just do what they can handle, do what makes them feel happy. And it's also important to try to let go of the mental constructs where people make you feel like you have to achieve big goals due to your twice exceptional abilities, and to learn acceptance. And that is, if you don't achieve certain goals that are considered quote unquote big, it's okay. This may be difficult at first if you're trained all your life to do this, but it's worth it. Understand, if something doesn't make you happy, you don't have to be forced to do it. If you do what makes you happy and do what you can handle, you may end up achieving more. I don't exactly consider myself gifted in terms of academics. However, I do consider myself somewhat gifted when it comes to my artistic talent. I'm not saying this to toot my horn or anything, but just to share this, give context to what I'm about to say here. I remember when I was younger, my parents wanted me to take a bunch of art lessons due to my artistic abilities. And this actually made me not like art as much, because I felt like something that was considered a good thing caused me to do more work. So I told my parents I don't really want to take art lessons, I just want to have fun. Luckily they understood. However, I felt like if my parents forced me to take art lessons when I didn't really want to, I feel like it would have stopped me from wanting to do artwork. So if you're a gifted person, I think it's important to not try to put too much pressure on yourself and do what you can handle and do what makes you happy. And to try to let go any kind of shame that you would get due to the way you're conditioned as a child and let that go.